Hello everyone and welcome to a game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Corner Rider and he is in the Buffalo, the 9 US cruiser. It's on the map hotspot in a 4-point domination game. So it's a tier 10 battle, which is sorta expected. Lots of destroyers, lots of cruisers, almost no battleships, which is kinda interesting. Now with less battleships, that means you can be probably a little bit more aggressive. There are less battleships that can truly punish you. Now, of course, if you show broadside to a cruiser, cruisers can citadel each other quite fine. But still, not having those battleship guns that might overmatch parts of your ship is certainly very helpful. Now, Corner Rider here is playing this pretty aggressively, but keep in mind that there are two enemy battleships. One is the Bismarck in front of him. Still pretty far away, I suppose. And the other one is the Montana, which is even further away. So he knows that he isn't going to be surprised by a battleship in the north or something. So what he does here is he goes in, he has used his radar, and he is trying to, well, basically harass enemy destroyers. Now currently the Bismarck might be a little bit of an issue, because the Bismarck could see his broadside here. That's something to keep in mind. But nobody is aiming at him. So yeah. Quite a bit of damage on those little destroyers. We have a Benson here who might hit torpedoes. Goodbye, Benson. He launched some torpedoes of his own, but not sure if they will catch the Z-23. The Z-23 has hydro going, so he can't see those coming.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Now that Z-23 might be an issue, because he will reload his torpedoes probably pretty soon, and that means that means Corner Rider can't really push that Z. Now there is a potential that the Z makes an aggressive move and pushes around the flank by himself. That's also something to keep in mind. There will be radar ready soon. Meanwhile, Corner Rider is just farming the broadside of a Seattle. Not sure what that Seattle is thinking. I mean, he should probably run towards the north, towards the zone wall, because that's the only way he could keep angled somewhat against all the enemy ships. But, you know, down goes a Seattle. That Moskva is already down as well, and it's looking pretty darn good for the friendly team. Now, the friendlies don't have the A cap, and they don't have the D cap yet, but they will get this cap here soon. Now it's important not to lose too many ships against the Z-23. The Z-23 is pretty much cornered, right? I mean, there is a Des Moines here, there's a Kronstadt here, there is the Buffalo here, so there are 3 raiders, and even if he just takes off here, he's currently raided. That Z-23 maybe should have retreated a little bit earlier. Now all he can do is try to rush in and torpedo something. Meanwhile, Corner Rider is keeping this island between him and the Z-23. There is no reason to take a risk. The friendly team is sinking this destroyer quite nicely. And the Kita cars should be able to dodge any torpedoes, hopefully. So, this was a very successful start to a game, and this was very fast. I mean, not much time has passed and the enemy team got pretty crushed already. Now the friendlies are going to take E cap here, and then they can move in towards A. And the enemy team, I mean, they don't really have such a maturity at the A cap, but at this point they need to do something, right? Once the reinforcements from the D cap arrive, the enemy team has basically lost. Then again, there's a Cyclone coming, and the Cyclone offers some opportunities, but not the way the enemy team is positioned. They need to push here really hard, take care of some ships. But we will see. I mean, there have been a lot more dramatic comebacks in the past. Now we speed it up a little bit while Corner Rider is making his way over towards the A cap. And it looks like the enemy team is all basically just crowding into this cap. Like, during a cyclone, being close together is an obvious advantage, because otherwise you can't support each other, which means for the cyclone, I guess it's okay to be get clumped up. Usually you wanna spread out a little bit, try to create crossfires. In a Cyclone this is less relevant. But the Cyclone isn't here yet, and the enemy team is still just at one cap they control, and they need to sink some ships there. And well, that Montana is also experiencing what's happening if you lost entire flank, right? That Montana is now in a crossfire and he's just getting pummeled. And the Cyclone probably won't be there in time. I mean, if the Cyclone was already a little bit further advanced, then that Montana would probably be fine here. But right now, I think he's probably going down before he can drop in concealment. Well, I mean, the Cyclone finally arrived, but that Montana was still burning. And, well, he goes down. Now, Corner Rider is using his radar here. With the radar, you can spot a little bit further in a Cyclone, so he can shoot the Stalingrad. The Stalingrad can't shoot back. Obviously, the Stalingrad would have radar as well. And now he is close enough that he can fire back. Now, turning your broadside to a Stalingrad is very dangerous. But so far it looks like the Stalingrad isn't taking any interest in him. Now he decided to instead go for the broadside of another enemy cruiser. And well, basically his biggest advantage is he is getting ignored here by everyone because they all seem to have other targets they want to shoot at. So he can just sail in here and just farm broadsides. And yes, he is showing his broadside a lot. I assume he doesn't care that much because the friendly team is wrecking so hard. I mean, at this point it's more about farming damage than preserving your health. Of course, overconfidence can lose you battles, but you know, at this point I'd also just look at how I can do the most damage and before it's over. He's up to 4 kills, so can he get a Kraken before this ends? We will see. And even more enemy ships go down. There are 3 enemies left, there are plenty of friendlies left. The enemy only has 1 cap, they are pretty far behind points wise. And yeah, I don't see much hope for the enemy team here. No more raiders left though, so unfortunately he can't spot the enemies. And there is a Bismarck. Bismarck is not what you want to be brawling with, but it's a barely alive Bismarck, so Bismarck could be his Kraken. But no, it's not. So next up we have a Hindenburg and a Kitakaze still remaining. Now here is the Kitakaze. The Kitakaze has probably launched torpedoes this way, which means turning like he does gets him caught in torpedoes, but he doesn't care. He just wants to get his Kraken, and there he goes. And he doesn't even have to face the torpedoes. Here we are with the results, and Corner Rider earned himself 2,439 base experience, and pretty nicely done. So he played it aggressive on his flank, but he could play it aggressive because he knew that the enemy battleships were not around. There was just a lot of destroyers, and so he went in a position where he could get the most of his radar. Now in the end he showed a lot of broadside, but it didn't matter at this point. He was just farming damage, and he was doing so very successfully. Now, Corner Rider achieved a Confederate and a Kraken. He got 113,000 points of damage, considering that there weren't any battleships with huge hit points to farm. That's pretty nice. He got 15 citadels because he was just abusing broadsides. So this was a quick one. It was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys next time.